An anonymous Redditor writes, "The Girl Problem, an open letter to the Overwatch community." To start, I should say that Overwatch has been a positive influence on my life overall. When the community is good, it's great. I've formed many lasting friendships, and I'm currently in a relationship of almost a year with someone I met through the game. But Overwatch has a problem with women. Not all players are like that, not even the majority, but enough assholes are loud enough to ruin the experience for so many girls I know, and we as a community can do better. I'm a woman. I like to play comp. I like to get on voice chat to make callouts and provide encouragement. For the most part, it's fine, and we all have a good time. Except when the enemy Junkrat somehow gets his ult every push. My man. But there are times when teammates get toxic in a way that doesn't get applied to male players, and sometimes the very presence of a female voice in the chat is enough to set people off. It's not funny when you ask me if I'll send nudes or if I'll perform an obscene act for you. It's grating to continually be asked if I'm a Mercy main since I'm a girl, or for you to demand that I pocket you. It's especially not funny to be harassed, or to have people make videos of them trolling me, to be told to kill myself, to be called a bimbo and a slut, and much, much worse. I've blocked people who then make multiple accounts to continually harass me. When playing with my girlfriend, we've been called all kinds of sexist epithets, plus an extra helping of homophobia when they find out we're dating. And despite all this, I still get on mic and speak, partly because I'm not about to let a few sweaty man-children ruin my gaming experience, but partly because it's more than just me. Time and time again, I've had other girls timidly get on the mic when they hear my voice and express their relief at hearing another girl. They say that they don't usually talk out of fear, but that it's nice to hear a friendly voice. People say that there aren't any girl gamers, but that couldn't be further from the truth. You've just created a climate where they're too scared to talk, because many of them have experienced the same things as me. I know most of you are decent people. I'm lucky to have a close circle of friends who are talented, kind people. But we as a community need to do a better job of standing up against this kind of poor behavior, more than just reporting it when you see it, although I wholly recommend doing that. Make it known that you don't tolerate sexist conduct. Even a simple, "Hey man, that's not cool," can both 1, let the harasser know that their behavior isn't condoned, and 2, let the harassee know that decent people exist. The silence of complicity and the silence of dissent sound the same. Speak up to make your true colors shine. Please, be mindful. Foster an environment that welcomes female players, and don't forget to push the payload. Oh God. Kyle here, and Overwatch doesn't have a woman problem. Gaming has a troll problem. And if I or many other men had a crazy reaction every time some troll hit us with a phrase like "suck my dick, nigger faggot," then a lot of us probably wouldn't speak on mic either. Treat them like their parents do, and ignore them. Mute, block, record, report. It'll all catch up with them eventually. Don't feed the trolls. A Redditor named Godly Hair writes, "A response to the girl problem. Moral grandstanding doesn't fix anything." Where do I even begin with this post? I guess I'll start off by saying that I agree with the message of the post. No one deserves to be harassed or ridiculed regardless of gender, race, sexual orientation, creed, etc. But moral grandstanding isn't going to change the people who need to change the most. The discourse between rallying for positive change while personally attacking people just rubs me the wrong way, even if those people are toxic. I'll put my own personal interjection here. I'm ethnically Korean. And back when we had loads of Koreans playing on the North American server to escape the rampant cheating in Asian servers, I tried my best to translate between them and us, so we had a better chance of winning. If it worked, people were fine. If it didn't, I'd be called a chink, gook, ching chong, you fucking name it. tell your gook friends to stay in their servers, etc. That's just the tip of the iceberg in terms of toxicity, but you guys already know. The experience is unpleasant to say the least, but I've always shrugged it off because why would I care about some internet stranger and what they say to me? Anonymous bigotry means that their bigotry is meaningless. It's noise. But if you don't do anything, how will there be any change? Well, I'd agree, except the girl problem with its holier-than-thou attitude is the completely wrong way to go about getting the change that we want, especially since the OP of the post outright personally attacks toxic people. Let's look at the psychology of most bullies. A peer-reviewed source called The Bullies, Understanding Bullies and Bullying by Dennis Lyons, claims that bullies have common characteristics. Number 1, a wish to control others. Number 2, individuals having poor social skills and who are often unpopular. Number 3, lack a strong sense of individual self and will feel threatened when being questioned or challenged. Number 4, it is as though they need to have and to exercise control and power over those they regard as being subservient to them. The girl problem post feeds into points 1 and 4. By getting a reaction out of people, they are asserting a form of perverse control over us. My post is doing the exact same thing. When we react by posting about them, we are only reinforcing their shit behavior. Instead, we should focus on points 2 and 3. What can we do as a community to help these people reform? Preaching for positive change while calling toxic people sweaty man-children certainly does not help. Name-calling goes both ways. Also, every person who's responded to this post with "Shut up, mercy bitch," just proved my point. I know you think you're hilarious, but you're not going to get a comedy special for your scathing wit. Being condescending towards toxic people just further drives a wedge between them and the positive change that we wish to see. Nobody likes being talked down to. From the same source, there's a poignant quote about condemning these types of people. It boils down to blame and responsibility, which leads to guilt. Blame looks for a cause so that its source can be condemned. It does so with righteous anger. It cries out to high heaven that bullying should not be, and it points the finger. How we currently deal with bullying transcends outside of Overwatch, but applies to it just as well. We slap blame on someone, and then administer justice through punishment, which, according to the source, has mounting evidence that punishment rarely works in the long term. Making it known with a "hey man, that's not cool" is completely counterproductive. With this type of wording, a toxic person could misconstrue that as being talked down to, probably exacerbating the problem. This only serves as a mild condescending punishment, like dealing with a naughty child. Punishing these types of people doesn't help. Getting called out for being a terrible person puts the responsibility and guilt on them. Rightfully so, but according to the source, guilt is a destructive force in human nature and is rarely reparative and never brings healing. This suggestion feeds directly into point 3 of bully characteristics. So then, what should we do? Well, what would I do? I would just mute them and move on. But if you truly care about reforming these types of people, the source gives its way on how bullying was resolved. It's honestly very time-consuming and impractical. I doubt you could even do this in the time frame of a game, but you're welcome to try. It's called the no blame approach. Basically, have every party involved without condemnation of any party and try to make things right. Try to understand one another. Let's say I got called a gook, for example. Instead of muting them, I could maybe ask them why they have to use a word like that. Y'all feeding the trolls out here. Stop feeding the trolls. Oh my god, just keep reading this. Their response will probably be more toxic shit, but keep working at it. Eventually, once you actually establish a conversation, try to understand where they're coming from while also trying to make them understand your perspective. What's key here is that you don't try to insult them or make them feel like they're being attacked. Be sincere and genuine. And before long, they'll burst into tears and talk about how they were abused by their father. I'm so sorry. I'll stick to the script. It's about compromise and making sure both parties feel like they're getting fair representation. If we're not willing to listen and sympathize with toxic people, why should they do the same for us? Even if they don't go along with it, at least you tried. That's what it says. Oh my god, I need to just put this on screen. I'm sure that there are other well-researched ways to reform toxic people, but I've already done too much research for a Reddit post. If you are interested, you can educate yourself on other ways, but this would be my suggestion on how to curb your toxic behavior. There's only so much that we can do as players. Not saying that I would be one of those players, but if you are, I hope you succeed. I'll stick with muting and reporting, probably. The onus is on Blizzard, who I'm sure is much better equipped and versed in being able to tackle this problem. But that doesn't mean the community can't genuinely try and help people reform. Being self-righteous only does more harm than good. Listen to what people have to say, even if it's hard. Opening a dialogue is the first step of changing someone's mind. This is all my personal opinion. I ain't telling you to do anything if you don't want to. Kyle again here, and I'd like to make something abundantly clear to women playing games. Think twice before opening your mouth when someone demonstrates that they are an insecure, attention-starved individual in the chat. When they're placing blame on anybody but them, looking for that scapegoat because things aren't going the way that they want in their match, and they're pretty much hitting you with that hardcore don't put a target on yourself, you know? You're the attention that they're looking for. And if you literally just hit them with 2 responses, that's more attention they're probably used to getting from anyone. I'm gonna say it one more time. Mute, block, record, report. In that order, on a scale from shrug to you actually giving a shit. You know? Just mute them if it's a problem. If they're hitting you from another account, block their ass. If it really falls out of control, start recording this shit, baby. It'll look really good when they make an ass of themselves, and report them. It's what they deserve. It's how they're going to end up in a silent, you know, nobody's talking to them zone, and that'll force them to actually think about who the fuck they are, what the fuck they doing, and at the very least, even if they don't change, they'll be forced into acting like they've changed because they're a scumbag. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? In a response to the girl problem, an anonymous Redditor writes, "When we call talking about sexism in Overwatch moral grandstanding and insist that it's like every other kind of bias, we minimize the issue. And whenever we do, I'm embarrassed to be part of the community." The stated reason for this morning's a response to the girl problem post was the girl problem post was personally attacking people, and that personally attacking people isn't a good way to create change. But the post wasn't a personal attack. It was yet another plea to the community that sexism is a bias that needs to be called out, that we yet again responded to with much more than a non-zero amount of "no it isn't." Until we can stop dismissing or minimizing bias, especially the kind that seems to make our community way more uncomfortable and defensive than the others, we aren't ready to discuss the finer points of dialoguing with those who exhibit prejudice. Yes, that post did reference sweaty man children, but that's the one comment in the entire post that was a stone thrown at a rhetorical group of sexist men. And what did we do? We upvoted and gilded the shit out of a post criticizing the discourse that she raised because of the comment that seemed to really hurt our feelings, calling it grandstanding. Never mind the implication that women are attention seeking, especially women who game. And I'm being extremely charitable here, because if it wasn't the one comment, when it was us upvoting and gilding the shit out of a post that says, "What about me and the biases I face?" And even if the question isn't being rocketed to the top of the subreddit because men don't like to see women talking about sexism, and it is indeed because people of non-white ethnicities are subject to bias too, consider for a moment how embarrassing it is that the conversation seems to only come up when the community is discussing sexism. If the bias non-white people face is important, stop using it as a shiv minimizing discussions of sexism. But no, I'm being really fucking charitable and assuming it's because she said sweaty man children and that hurt people's feelings really badly. Oh yes, it could be because she was being condescending towards people who told her to shut up, mercy bitch. Wait, what? Condescending? This is the shittiest victim blaming. Maybe you should have a dialogue with someone when they tell you to shut up and call you a bitch like us reasonable men do. If a response to a conversation condemning sexism isn't itself upset by the condemnation, like it sure seems to be, it should realize that tearing that conversation down by calling it moral grandstanding for the loosest of reasons is at best a declaration that women should move aside because men can take the more inclusive conversation from here. At worst, it's thinly veiled misogyny. Ooh. Kyle here. And forgive me, ladies, but some of us are coming from Halo days where we've heard things in a day that you probably won't hear in your entire gaming career. That's not said to belittle or minimize what you've been through or how wrong it may be, but understand I mean this with no hostility or insecurity. The difference between me or other men and you is that you can expect to change. We didn't expect shit to change. But in today's gaming climate, where even things like teabags are looked at obscenely like it's toxic as fuck, report and record these kids, and they'll literally have to fear for their accounts. In some cases, making a new account ain't that big a deal, but in other cases, some of these kids are going to be forced to learn their lesson, or at the least, think twice about doing that stupid shit again. I know it sucks right now, and I apologize, but continue to mute, continue to block, continue to record, and continue to report, and in time, shit'll work itself out. A comment in this post by Glitter Cat Bear reads as follows. So, I read the girl problem post yesterday. I was a gal that wasn't using voice chat because I didn't like getting attacked, so I put on my headset last night, PS4, for the first time in a while. There was a Junkrat bitching about my heals, but he was running off on his own and I told him I'd heal him if he came back to the payload, or even a little closer at least, so I didn't have to abandon the team. I was Lucio. I was immediately told to shut my legs, and then he went on and on and on. I guess he thought I was a mom because he told me to go take care of my crack baby son. I'm not that old, and he wouldn't stop. He was so fucking mean and disgusting and filthy. I'm not insulting him, that is just what he was. I did mute and report him, but I took the headset back off and I doubt I'll put it back on again anytime soon. I think it's bullshit I'm supposed to just have a thicker skin. If I were taking a painting class and someone walked in and told us we paint like shit and spewed racist, sexist stuff at everyone, he'd be kicked out and never allowed back. The only hobby I can think of which allows members to treat other members so poorly is gaming. Honestly, I think this person was under the age of 18. I really hope so. I don't know what the fix is. I felt destroyed. I know they were just some random, but it really did fucking hurt. I tried to be nice and work with him. Kyle here, and I'm super sad to see that a troll was successful here in getting a reaction out of somebody. For a troll, they're like vinegar, and sometimes they just go around dropping themselves on people and, you know, seeing if they can get that baking soda reaction. And when they do, that validates them, which is why as soon as they go off, man, you just need to mute the shit out of them. You know, report their ass, move on. I'm sorry this happened, but I guess that's how it goes. Ladies, if you feel targeted in Overwatch, remember that you're dealing with people who are essentially conditioned to say what will trigger the biggest response out of you. Many of them are socially inept, starving for attention, and if you give them what they want, not only will you, in a way, be enabling them to continue this, but it's just not worth your time or effort. Mute them, Only bait them or feed the trolls if you're trying to pretty much prove via recording how terrible they're being, and otherwise let them enjoy that silence, and sooner or later it will force them to change. I'm sorry sorry you got to deal with this, but change is coming.